backstage, AKEEM Bloomfield. This interview is long overdue. I can't wait to have the discussion, but I just want to say thank you all to continue supporting this channel. We are nothing without your support. So we hope that you will continue to support us because, again, our duty is to make sure that we inspire, we motivate, and we educate. Before I actually go into the interview with AKEEM, there's so many things to talk about. I am going to keep it as quick as I can because I really want to have the discussion with AKEEM. A couple of things that I want to talk about because I received some messages in my inbox and a few of the fans were asking me some questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them over to me and I will go through the questions and I will respond because, again, the goal is to educate. One of the questions was about Christine Boma, and the person wanted to know if I think it was fair for Christine to be competing against other athletes. And I am just going to give you my quick insights and then we'll just move on to something else. I am not a scientist. What I know for sure that Christine, she ran yesterday, she won her 8th straight 200 meters. She looked excellent. And I was thinking to myself, if she's only 18 and running like a champion, what is going to happen when she mature and become 20, 21, 22? It seems like the sky is the limit. Now, the scientists are saying that because of Christine's situation, she has more testosterone, which gives her a major advantage. I don't know how much of an advantage. I know that if you have men running against women, the male will definitely have an advantage. So if she has more testosterone than the average female, then it will give her an advantage. But my suggestion to the IAAF is this. You want these things to be transparent. You can't just ban a person without coming up with good scientific facts. Because we know in the dark, we are left wondering what is going on. So my suggestion is let us see everything. Let us know everything. And by we, the fans, knowing everything, then we can make the determination if it's good or if it's bad. So if she is getting an advantage, I would say some intervention must take place. But if it's just the fact that she has a little bit more and there is no major advantage, then I think that they need to reconsider. The second thing is Trayvon Bromell. I saw where he ran a season best and the fellow looked impressive. I'm happy for him because he has been through a lot. He has been through ups and downs multiple times. But here is what was impressive to me. I saw where the Africans are starting to dominate sprinting. And I am wondering if this is going to be a trend because the Fernandard Amayala, if I pronounce the name correctly, he finished second in that race and he ran 9.77. So if the Africans are getting into the sprints and they're looking so impressive, what does that mean for the sprinters in Jamaica? That is the question that I want the Jamaican Federation to answer. And the people in the Caribbean, what are they doing to make sure that they can continue to dominate what is going on instead of allowing or giving up their opportunity, so to speak, to continue to dominate around the region? The third thing I want to talk about is health care for athletes. I personally think it is time for all to come together to make sure that the athletes have the proper health care. Because a lot of people don't know this, that if you try to travel to another country to compete, that you must have insurance before they would allow you to get that visa. So if we are performing that great, I think the body needs to come together and see how they can have health care for all athletes. I think Jamaica made the first step and they offer health care for some athletes. I think they need to offer it for more. But I am hoping that with time, we can get there. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is union, because I see where everybody else is forming a union, but there is no union being formed for the athletes. If there is no union being formed for the athletes, how can we negotiate in our best interest? How can the athletes now say that they want more because everybody else around them is getting more? If the athletes are not paid adequately, who can they voice their opinion to in order for someone to look in the situation for them? It is important that whether you're an American or Jamaican, or you're from the island, or you're from Africa, that we start to think about how we can come together and do what is in the best interest of all athletes. We see where some countries seem to get an advantage over others because of the influence that they have. And it is the smaller countries, athletes per se, who have to tolerate what is going on, because the same thing that is going on right now with Christine, who is talking on her behalf. And this is why I would say that it is time for the athletes to start thinking about what needs to be done for us as a whole. How can they increase their ability to earn more? Because right now we see where the agents are getting way more. So I just want you all to think about it. The purpose is not to divide. The purpose is to come together. The purpose is to help other athletes from some of the areas who are not able to provide, that they have a voice, because the union will not just speak for American athletes or the Caribbean athletes, but the union will speak for all. Thank you very much. I know you're waiting. AKEEM is a little bit nervous backstage. I know he can't wait to get on. As I said before, this is long overdue. I've been waiting to talk to AKEEM for the longest time. So when I saw this young man run over the years, I was very much impressed, because when I looked at his height, I look at his speed, I look at his determination when he was in high school, and I looked at his level of intelligence. He was able to articulate himself well. And he said some profound things at an early age that led me to believe that if he continued to mature the way how he expects to mature, and we as the fans expect him to mature, that only the sky can stop him. The sky would be the limit for him. So today I prepared something that I just want the world to see who AKEEM is, because I know that a lot of individuals don't know who AKEEM is. If you don't know him, you're going to know him now, because this interview is going to be one of a kind. We're going to play a video, and the video will introduce AKEEM, and then I'm going to put him on stage. Let's go.
AKEEM Bloomfield, 21 years of age, Diamond League wins in London and Birmingham.
Life is filled with ups and downs, and AKEEM is no stranger to adversities. One thing we know for sure, that when he is faced with adversities, he normally dig deep and bring out the best in himself. I remember years ago watching this young man in an interview. He said something that truly impressed me. He said, "To whom much is given, much will be required."
To whom much is given, much is expected, and I mean, don't really put myself out to perform for what people expect. I just go out there and do my best at all times.
And if anyone understands what this means, if any of you have heard that line of wisdom before, you know it means that we are held responsible for what we have. And if we have been blessed with talents, wealth, knowledge, time, and the likes, it is expected that we benefit not just ourselves, but others. AKEEM has achieved a lot in life, and during his quest to achieve his full potential, he has also helped others to do the same. AKEEM Bloomfield is not only an ISA boys champion, but he is also the record holder at 44.96. He's the second fastest Jamaican over the 400 meter with a personal best of 43.94. He is currently the national record holder for the 400 meter indoor for Jamaica with an impressive time of 44.86. AKEEM is the only 400 meter runner for Jamaica to run sub 22nd and is ranked 4th on the all-time list for Jamaican behind Usain Bolt, Ewan Blake and Warren Weir. With his new way of thinking, AKEEM is destined to achieve his highest potential in his events. He is now committed to make discipline, dedication, knowledge, and the receptiveness to good counsel as a part of his team. It is with great pleasure that I present to you this evening none other than AKEEM Bloomfield.
Hello, AKEEM. Oh man, it's glad to have you on the show, man. It's been long overdue. How are you today?
I'm good, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, before I go into the interview, I just want to say my condolences. I know God will give you the strength to move on and to grow each day. And I want to say that because I understand what it is like to lose a mother. How are you coping, my brother?
Well, I can say that it gets a bit easier every day. It was probably the biggest loss I've ever taken in my life, but I can say that, my mom, I know that my mom would want me to, keep my head up and just keep moving forward. That's what, she always instilled in me, no matter the circumstance, keep moving forward. So even though she passed, I still hold on to those values and, it gets easier. I still think about her almost every day. But, I'm moving forward.
My advice to you is to live and to celebrate life in her memories because she is always with you. As you said, the values that she shared with you, you will carry on that and you will share it even with your kids. Right. I don't normally allow our guests this luxury, but because you're AKEEM Bloomfield, I am just going to give you the opportunity to acknowledge anyone you want to acknowledge before we actually go into the interview.
To be honest, there's no specific person I would want to acknowledge. I would just like to thank the fans for tuning in to, watch this interview.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into it because it's been long overdue. One of the things, I used to watch your videos and I went back preparing some of the notes to watch your videos and I started looking at some of the things that you did at an early age. And I saw that you had a mindset that you fear no one. Right. You dominated your event. And I just want to know what made you so dominant as a high schooler at your age.
Well, I think one of the things that made me most dominant as a high school athlete was that I was so much more like physically gifted than those I was competing against. Because in high school, I was like 6'2", 6'1". So at most, sometimes I would be even like close to a foot taller than those who I was, competing against. I mean, I was naturally talented as well. However, I think my height difference over my other competitors really gave me an advantage. I would say that I had a great coach in Coach Neil Harrison that used to work with me while I was at Kingston College. He really showed me what was possible in the 400 because while I was doing the 100 meters, I used to get injured a lot. And when he started coaching at Kingston College, he really he made a plan and he was like, AKEEM, I think we should move up to the 400 to get some endurance under those muscles. And it just happened that I realized I was really good at the 400. So I will say, the height advantage, talent, coaching, that was why I was so dominant as a high school athlete.
I didn't know that you enjoy jumping. You were a jumper too, right?
Yes, I was a jumper. However, I was not really good at it. As far as I can remember, I got cut, I think 3 weeks before champs because I had not gotten the standard when I was in first year class 2. So, it just wasn't working out for me. So I thought, I should move to the sprints, and I had some success there.
Okay. Akeem, both of us have done two things that will never be erased for now. I was the first Jamaican to run sub 45 on local soil. You are the first high school runner to run sub 45 on that same track.
Right.
You had a certain mindset in terms of chasing the 400 meter. Were you thinking about the record, or were you thinking about winning when you were competing, or did the record came as a result of you winning?
To be honest, I ran 45.40 2 weeks before boys and girls champs. As a matter of fact, it was at the Carifta trials I ran 45.4. Now, my coach at the time, Neil Harrison, we sat down and we said, champs is in 2 weeks, and he thinks that I could improve upon what I did, at the Carifta trials. So that was the mindset going into champs, just to, be better than I was 2 weeks prior. It wasn't really to break a record or chase records per se. It was just to be better than I was before, and it just so happened that the record came. So, right.
Well, you did great. Did you get a scholarship to go overseas, or did you stay in Jamaica?
No, I got a scholarship to go overseas.
Yeah. What school?
Auburn University.
Auburn. Why Auburn?
Well, why Auburn? In all honesty, I went on my visit to Auburn University, and I met with the coach at the time, Coach Spry. He's still the coach right now. He's responsible for the coaching the 400 meter program. And upon talking to him, he pointed out some of my strengths that he watched me and he saw me compete. He pointed out my strengths, but he also pointed out some of the weaknesses that he thinks I have. And upon talking to him, he promised me that, he could take me to the next level. And I told him some of my goals. He said, listen, kid, I think I can take you there. So, I didn't really need much more convincing than that. So I chose to go to Auburn and work with Coach Brad.
Okay. I was hoping that you would have signed with my good friend Davian, because you guys are Fortis. Why not UTEP? Because it would be from KC to be coached by another KC athlete who did great for Jamaica in that same event. But why not UTEP?
Why not UTEP? I just felt a special connection with Coach Spry. Not saying I didn't feel a connection with, Davian Clark. However, I just thought that, this is the person that I wanted to work with going forward. So I just made a decision.
Understandable. It paid off in many ways. Now,
Yes.
When I went to my first college from Jamaica, one of the strategies my coach usually uses is to let us travel at nighttime, because he did not want us to see what the environment looked like. And when I got up in the morning and went outside, I wanted to go back home. It was like a culture shock, Did you experience that when you went to Auburn? And were there any positive or negative to those experiences?
I can say I took many positive experiences out of, my experience at Auburn. One was that it was I moved into such a structured environment. At first, my classes, was scheduled around my training. No. My training was scheduled around my classes while I was going to high school. But now in college, my classes were now scheduled around training. So now I had to, put classes around training, meaning, even after training, sometimes I had to be going to classes. So we had mandatory treatment. We had 5 a.m. workouts. So it was a much more structured program than what I was used to while I was in Jamaica. And I can say that it gave me or taught me a level of discipline that I did not have before. Also, I can say the food was a big change. because I didn't have my mom to, cook all my meals as how she would always cook when, I was going to high school. No, I had to, I had to take care of myself. I had to learn how to cook. Unfortunately, I didn't really learn how to cook while I was at home in Jamaica. I got too comfortable relying on my mom, but, I learned how to cook. So it kind of taught me how to adapt. I had to learn how to, adapt in, any situation that I got myself into. So I can, it's a lot of positives I learned from my experience in college.
Hey, one of the things I had to do, I had to send back to Jamaica to get some recipe books because I couldn't eat the food that was in the cafeteria too. So I started doing my best to cook stew peas and all those things. But that's good. One of the things I find that a lot of young athletes, high school athletes who are transitioning into the college or even into the professional arena, that they find it a struggle based on some of the things that you're saying, the lack of structure, the lack of organization, the lack of discipline. So I find that the more structured you are in terms of a program, the better it is for you. But in terms of the transition from high school to college, would you say it was a successful transition? Because I couldn't keep up with some of the workouts that were being done because my mind and my body wasn't fully prepared. But in terms of you, would you say the transition was good or okay? And if so, why?
I think I had a great transition, actually. And the reason why I said I had a great transition, it was because, I had a personal best every year while I was in college. I PR'd my first year of college. I PR'd my second year and ran really fast. I PR'd and ran really fast my second year. So I would say that, with the results speak for itself. I think I did fairly well and I transitioned, pretty good.
Well, since we're on the topic of transitioning, for real, you said the first 2 years you had an impressive career. You ran 43.94 second. What were some of the main things that you would say contributed to your success within the first 2 years?
The main thing that contributed to my success was my coach, in all honesty. As I pointed out before, he, looked at my strengths, my weaknesses. He taught me how to maximize my strengths and strengthen my weaknesses. I can say that Coach Pry is responsible for how fast I run in college. He's a really, really intelligent coach. He's also, he picks at every small detail, and he really taught me how to run the 400 meters while I was in college. So also, I had really good training partners while I was in college. I trained really, really hard every day. And I can say that, with natural development, working hard and having a really good coach, that's the reason why I ran, so fast.
Well, after 2 years in college, you made the decision to go professional.
Right.
When I was in college, after my junior year, when I won my first individual medal, I was pressured, man. The pressure was coming all over to leave school and go pro. And I thought about it for a while, and then I made the decision to say, you know what? I wanted my education and I wanted to stick it through because of the support base that I have. What were some of the primary reasons and secondary reasons that push you to make such a big move at the time with all that you were getting from Coach Fry?
I would say my primary reason for wanting to become a professional athlete was that I always had the notion that the faster I ran, and the better I got as an athlete, I could make life a lot easier for my mom back home. So I would say that is my primary, that's my primary reason for wanting to become a professional. I would now be getting paid, and, I could, it gave me a chance to take care of her. So the love for my mom was my primary reason of wanting to become a professional. My secondary reason would be, I would say, my love for track and field. I really love running, and now, getting a chance to run and make money from running, it was so amazing for me, getting paid to run around that track. It's a dream. So I can say that's my secondary reason. Plus, getting the opportunity to sign with Puma was a big bonus.
That we have a lot in common because when I finished my 4 years in school, the primary thing that drive me was to help my mother and my sisters, because we were a really close family.
Right.
And that was the thing that kept me motivated. And I would say to even some of the younger ones who are finding it a struggle, that they must have a purpose big enough to keep pushing through, because I can guarantee this, that there will be adversities along the way, there will be disappointments along the way, there will be frustration along the way, but it's the person or the athlete who has the thing that is big enough to keep them moving forward will be the one that will persevere and overcome all of these odds.
Right.
After your transition to become a professional, it seemed like you experienced a lot of challenging circumstances, and your successes seem like they were minimal. What might be some of the reasons behind that reality?
Well, I'm still thinking about, you know, the reasons why I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. The only thing I can say is that I got injured a lot. Sometimes at key points in the season when I was, you know, really looking to make progress, I got hurt, and I can say that that's one of the main reasons why I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be.
I'll give you a little bit of advice in terms of that. Michael Johnson, my training partner for a while, I started to study his progress when I went to Baylor to train with him. And he used to get hurt a lot. And that is why he focused more on the 400. But what they had to do was to design a program specifically for him, because they realized that it was a weak back and other issues that were not being addressed individually. And because of that, they designed a weight program for him, a running program for him. And as a result of that, he was able to get stronger and faster as he got older. So I think in your case, that is something that I would think you should think about. But speaking on that, it is public record now that you're no longer at your camp, that you made your professional debut coming out of college. And you are now slated to be in the camp coached by Rainer Ryder. And we assume that by the end of the month, you should actually begin your training. Without a doubt, the evidence shows that Coach Ryder is one who has accomplished great things with his athletes.
Right.
How do you feel about the move?
Well, I'm feeling really hopeful right now that this change will bring me, you know, the results that I want. Based on my research of, you know, Coach Ryder, I can see that he has a good track record with, you know, working with athletes, especially athletes that are injury prone like me. All I can say is, you know, I'm feeling very excited, and I am, you know, committed to learning under his tutelage. I know I'm keeping an open mind, and I'm just, you know, really excited to move forward and see what possibilities are, you know, working with him, with working.
Well, you know, Akeem, one of the things I find that, and this is my opinion now in terms of injuries and all of that, that these are some of the things that set people back. And I always believe that good and bad, there are always lessons to be learned. But sometimes we as human beings, we are so focused on one thing that we ignore most of life lessons. And sometimes we can repeat the same mistakes over and over. What are some of the things that you would say you learned that you will hold fast to and take with you everywhere that you go in terms of the challenges that you were faced with in the past?
Well, I can honestly say that the most important thing I learned was how to handle disappointment. I also learned how to be patient. You know, that's you know, I had to learn how to be patient. You know, I stopped stressing over things I can't control. That was one of the biggest things I've learned. I'm also learning how to just live in the moment, you know, not focusing on what happened in the past, but, you know, remaining present and trying to focus on things that I can control now. And also, you know, remaining optimistic for the future. That's, you know, some of the things I've learned.
You know, sometimes, you know, when we were younger, we held fast some basic concept. We said it, we believed it, like what you said. You know,
Right.
that when more is given, more is expected. And it's something that you could tell that it was a part of who you were because of the adversities. And as we get older and we start to face some of these challenges, we keep forgetting some of those fundamental things that got we where we are. My other question for you is that as a mentor, I find that a lot of people they focus on different aspects of things. And I know that in order for one to be successful, one must focus on discipline, dedication, resilience, etc. But most of the athletes do not seem to want to focus on discipline in terms of sacrificing something. You
Right.
got to give up something if you want something. What are you willing to sacrifice to make that mark, the legendary mark in track and field?
Right. Well, I can say that I moved from Fort Lauderdale to Jacksonville. And one thing I can say that I've given up was I had to get out of my comfort zone. You know, I left a club that I was with, you know, people for the past 3 years. I made a lot of friends. So to step away from that and step into an environment that I don't really know anyone, to try to get into a new system, I would say that, you know, that was a big sacrifice for me. Also, I realized I had to, you know, make a lot of sacrifices, you know, getting more discipline. A key example is like with my diet. For the past 2 months, I wanted some ice cream so but because, you know, I told myself I want to stick to like a strict diet because I want to go into, you know, fall training as lean as I can be. So, you know, the coach can just work his magic. I won't, you know, going overweight. Like, you know, I started doing strength training and like running on my own. So I will have some level of fitness, you know, going into, you know, training. I can say my social life, I've also had to sacrifice things with my social life. I now have to plan my life around track and field. It's not, you know, I realize that I'm not a regular person. You know, and if I have certain goals for myself and I want to be successful, I realize that, you know, I have to just focus and zone in, you know, cut out all the noise, like block out all the noise and just focus on me. So at this point, I hope the sacrifices that I've made so far will bring me a level of success.
So you're saying that before some of those things you did not think that it would affect your performance, or you felt like you could still do it and get away with it? The things that you talk about, the ice cream, the clubbing, or assume clubbing is in it too, right? You see, and this is why I assume. Let your fans know. Let them know.
I mean, I do like to go to the club with my friends on occasions. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm a party animal or anything, but I like to enjoy myself. But for the most part, no. What I realize is that everyone that's running on the circuit, everyone that's a professional athlete is also really, really talented. And I think for me, the difference is going to be, you know, I have to outwork people. I have to start outworking people and be more focused and dedicated than others in order to have an edge. So at this point, I think that, you know, it's not that I never sacrificed much before, but I realized, no, I have to make more sacrifices and be more disciplined to, you know, get where I want to be.
You know, I oftentimes say that, and there's some pride in terms of saying that I train with Michael Johnson, because I am disciplined. I'm a disciplined person, but I have never met another guy who is as disciplined as Michael Johnson. Very focused. Training is paramount before everything else in his life. So I know that if you want to be great, you have to have that mindset to say, look, I might be the bad guy to even some of my friends, but at the end of the day, this is what I do. And you're not going to go to your friend's place of employment and distract them. So this is what you do, and you have to think about it that way. At 24, AKEEM, it is safe to say that you have a lot more in store to give. My question to you is, the mindset that you had when you were in college, was it the same mindset that you have or had when you are a professional now? Could you kind of tell us the difference between the mindset in college and the mindset when you became a professional?
Well, in college, well, I was running for a university. So at the time, the mindset was to score maximum points for a school. Now, as a professional athlete, I can say that it is now my job, and I have set personal goals for myself. I want to be the best athlete that I can be. So now it's not more so running for a school, it's, running for myself, running for my, running for my country now. Running to, improve myself financially as well. So I can say that, now the mindset is just, to treat track and field as a job, the clock in, clock out, just like working in an office. There's certain things that I have to do every day, and I have to set aside, time. The time that you would take to do an office job it's almost the same thing now with track and field. You have to treat it the same way. So that's how I see it right now.
Aristotle said that excellence is not just an act, it's an habit. And if you want to be great at something, you have to do it repeatedly until you become good at it. I was talking to a friend and he was asking me a question, and he wanted me to ask you the question. He said that you have not won any major championship since high school. He said, right. Does that play any part? Does it affect you mentally in any way?
I can say no, it hasn't affected me mentally in any way, because I have an idea of what I can do as an athlete. I honestly know that it's only a matter of time before I accomplish those things. It's just the route I would take to accomplish them. So I think, it's just a matter of time. And I think the championships, I'm still young, the championships, the medals and all that will come. I just have to get myself into the best environment possible.
Right. I have done a lot of research, talking to different athletes, trying to figure out, what is in their minds. And it says that, and I see too, the difference between an average athlete and the difference between a great athlete is mindset. And my question to you is, where does mental training fit into your training and competition? Because I find that the athletes who are really great are those who are able to control the way they think. But where does mental training fit in your program right now?
Well, I don't really have I'm not currently doing any type of formal mental training. However, I recently started writing down my goals on a whiteboard. And every morning that I wake up, I would recite those goals while also, having steps in my head that I think I should take to achieve them, small stuff I should do on my own to achieve my goals. Yes. So I think, that's one major step I've taken, in terms of mental development for myself. So I hope that, I hope it actually means something at the end. Like, when I start training, I hope, all this, all the goals that I write down, I hope I accomplish them.
Well, I can tell you that when I used to compete, I had to get rid of some of my negative thoughts, because it doesn't matter how good you are, if you're not able to control those negative thoughts, they can become an impediment. When I was growing up, one of the person that kept me motivated was Merlin Ottey. I like Bert Cameron. As I got older, I started to know a whole lot more about Arthur Wint and Herb McKinley, and I was one of Herb McKinley's biggest fan, more because of the way how I saw him treat people. And I was looking at one of your older video, and the person was asking you, hey, what about Usain Bolt? Is he one of your idols? And you were saying, well, yeah, but I like Parchment because Parchment is a KC guy. And I know you KC guys are loyal to the KC.
We are definitely.
What inspired you to run track and field, AKEEM?
Well, I can honestly say Hans Apartment had a big role to play in that. Being a former Kingston College student, I remember being in school and watching him get a medal at I think it was the London 2012 Olympics. He got a bronze medal. And that was really like, inspiring to me, because I'm like, if I'm a Kingston College student and he's a former Kingston College student and he, got a medal, that means I can do the same thing one day. That's what I, believe. Also, I mean, I really looked up to Usain Bolt. As a kid, I can remember watching all of the amazing things that he did, on TV, cheering for him. And I just thought, he's a tall, fast athlete, and I'm pretty tall myself. So who knows, one day, could I be as fast? Could I be faster? Those, those are some of the things that I used to, ask myself as a kid. And I can honestly say that he, was a big factor in me, doing track and field as well.
Well, I have to ask this question because everybody wants to know. They feel like someday AKEEM is going to move from the 4 and run the 100 meter, because I watch you run some good 100 meter in high school. Do you think one day you may transition into the 100 meter and be like that Usain Bolt?
Well, I will not say, I will say anything is possible. I honestly believe that anything is possible. And you have to say anything is possible because there are certain people now in track and field that, is transitioning to the faster events and having a lot of success. So if they can do it, I think I should be able to do it as well with, the right coach, the right guidance. I think the sky's the limit for me, in all honesty.
You see, now it comes back to everybody see you run 4 and 2.
Right.
And people say AKEEM Bloomfield is known to be a 400 meter runner. Some people say you can run the 2. In fact, you can do both, because the times that you run are impressive in both events. Which one of them you love the most and why?
I can honestly say that the 200 meters is my favorite event. I prefer to run the 200 meters over the 400 meters. And there's a particular reason to that, actually. I can remember back in 2018 when I ran my first 200 meters on the professional circuit. It was a race in Lucerne, Switzerland. First 200 meter race for that season, actually. I was so nervous. I sat in the blocks. The gun went. I came out so slow. I ran down the straight. I came second in that race. But when I looked at the clock, I saw 20.00. And I thought to myself, like, I did not execute the race how I should have executed the race. I was so nervous. My head was all over the place. And I still ran 20.00. So at that moment, I realized that I could run 19 seconds. So said, so done. 2 weeks later, I worked on my start for about a week, trying to, just react with the gun. And, I put a decent race together in the London Diamond League that year. And I ran 19.81. And, coming across the line, looking at the time, I thought to myself, I can go so much faster. So it was at that moment, even though I was running the 400 for the entire season, it was at that particular moment for me that I fell in love with the 200. And I just think, there's just so much possibilities for me.
I spoke to a couple of specialists because I wanted to know, in terms of your style. And they were pointing out some things to me to say, when you run the 200 meter,
right,
your mechanics seem to make you more prone to be injured. Do you find any truth to that? Because when I was going back and I was listening to some of the things that you said as a 14, 15, you said that you had issues with your hips. And most of the time, these types of injury occur because of weak hip flexor muscles and so on. But do you think running the 2 will increase your chance of being injured?
Honestly speaking, I think that I think once my body is prepared to go a certain, intensity, I think I will be fine. Because in 2018, when I was working with my coach, we mainly focused on muscle endurance for the entire season. And it just so happened that after the season, I could like run a really fast 200 meters without getting injured because we had done so much work in terms of muscle strength and endurance that season that, you know, things came together in the 200 meters. So I just think that now, especially with the coach that I'm going to be working with, my new coach, I think that once he has a plan of how to, you know, strengthen my weaknesses that I have, I think I can do any event. It's just the preparation that goes into getting prepared for said event.
Well, it seems sometimes, Akeem, that when we talk to you about the two events, it's like we can't get that solid answer. You're good at both. Which
Right.
one do you think you will do come 2020 and why?
2022?
2022, my bad, 2022.
Right. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly can't give you an answer. I think at this point I would have to really sit down with my new coach and, you know, look into what plans he has for me, honestly. You know, upon, you know, talking with him and what he thinks I can and cannot do, then I will make a decision. But as for now, I can't really speak on that.
And I know this might be a little bit tough too to speak on this particular topic because you're not in the environment yet and you haven't sat down with your coach to figure out what the plan is. But in terms of expectations, I'm sure in your own heart and mind, you have expectations, goals that you would like to meet.
Right.
What are some of the expectations you have for yourself for 2022?
I have a lot of expectations for myself, but the short answer is I expect to be the best version of myself in 2022.
Okay.
Right.
Could you break that down? Because I don't understand it. Break it down a little bit in terms of becoming the best version.
Well, no, I can honestly say that I'm making certain sacrifices in my life to be the best that I can be. I've also, you know, I hope that, you know, upon working with this new coach, he, you know, has a plan to take me to that level that I want to go. When I say be the best version of myself that I can be, I would really love to be setting, you know, personal best, you know, achieving the things that I think that I can achieve. But as for now, I just want to, that's all. I just want to be the best version of myself that I've ever been, both mentally, physically. I just want to be an overall better athlete.
I saw some questions running on the screen. I have a few more questions for you. I saw a question by Raymond Stewart. If I see it, I'm going to ask you the question. Okay. The question says, if Coach Fry got you to be at your best, why did you leave his present coach and go with another coach?
Okay. The reason for that is that Coach Fry, when I decided that I wanted to become a professional athlete, Coach Fry is a coach in the collegiate system. And I was not sure if, you know, Coach Fry would have the time to, you know, that as a professional athlete, you need special attention. No, not saying I wasn't getting special attention while I was in college, but as a college athlete, it is his priority to make sure everything, you know, goes the you know, the best way possible in order to, you know, fulfill the criteria of the school. As a professional athlete, I think that, you know, say for example, I would want him to travel with me to meets and all those things. I don't think I would be in a position where he could, or he would be in a position where he could do those things. So I just thought, you know, it would be kind of stressful in a sense to having, you know, Coach Fry try to work not only with the collegiate schedule, but trying to figure out how he can work with my schedule as well. I think it would be, you know, really confusing. That's why I left.
Did you ask him about it, or did you assume that's what he would do?
Well, when upon you know, signing a deal with Puma, I had a conversation with him, and he says that, you know, if you know, want to leave, you know, go somewhere else, then, you know, I honestly respect that. No, the only option he gave me was to come back to school, not as a professional athlete, but to come back as a student. So that's why, I left.
Okay. And that is understandable. I have a few more questions for you, Akeem, because you have learned a lot from high school to now. If you had the opportunity to talk to a 19-year-old Akeem, what would you say to a 19-year-old Akeem Bloomfield?
I would tell a 19-year-old AKEEM Bloomfield to pay attention to the smaller details. At 19 years old, I think, let's see. At 19 years old, I was still in college. So I can say that, I would tell myself to work a lot harder, pay attention to smaller details, and just to keep focused. Now, certain decisions that I have made in the past, I would tell myself not to make those decisions, but at this point, I can't really do much about, things that happened before.
Two more questions, and then I'm going to get you out of here.
Right.
What are some of the things that you think you need based on, because I'm sure that you reflect on everything that transpired from college to all the way to now and
Right.
even go back in high school. What are some of the things that you feel you need mentally, psychologically? I know you know the physical aspect, but what are some of the things that you feel like you need that can help you to become the best version of yourself as you take on this new opportunity and this new move here?
Well, I think that I just need to believe in myself more. And I can say that, this time off not training, watching, everyone compete on the circuit, I realized that, I have so much, potential to do so much great things, because I've seen, people that I compete against on the circuit doing really well. And I'm just like, I can also be doing really well, just like them. So I just think, right now it's just belief in myself is the most important thing I need right now mentally. And I think, as the days go by and I'm, going to start training at the end of this month, I think that, my belief in myself is, at an all-time high, than it's ever been. And I just, can't wait to get started.
Akeem, one of the things I find that, the younger athletes take for granted is the ability to have a strong team.
Right.
Now, as I said before, when you look at a Usain Bolt or you look at a Michael Johnson, and I'm speaking from experience now in terms of what I saw,
Right.
he had a team of people around him that it was hard to outdo him based on the people that he had around him. It was hard for us to outsmart him based on the group of people that he had around him. And it was tough to beat a man like that because the man fast and he's strong and he had a group of individuals where he can get up to the minute knowledge and information from. And he was disciplined enough to put all of those things in motion. So I am saying to you that you have to sit down and think about what you need, because you're now going into a system and you need to create your own system, a system where whatever you're not getting from that system, you can get from your own system, because this system is designed for AKEEM Bloomfield and AKEEM Bloomfield only.
Right.
I appreciate you coming, Akeem. One last question before you go, because you have a lot of fans. Your fan base is big.
Right.
I'm sure they are waiting for you to tell them more about what you will do for them. And this is no pressure. I want you to talk to your fans. And then when you finish, I want you to give them all your social media handles. So if they want to follow you and get a hold of you, and that you can do so. So next 2 minutes is yours. Go ahead.
Well, if I can say anything to my fans right now, I would say that, in 2022, I want you guys to see a new AKEEM Bloomfield. A much more refreshed AKEEM Bloomfield, a much more relaxed AKEEM Bloomfield. I'm now in a new environment, getting used to a new system of training. And I personally just want to be the best AKEEM Bloomfield that I can be. I'm thankful for all the support from the fans. I wouldn't be, where I am or who I am without the support of the fans, that keep, wishing me well, keep praying for me. So I can say that in 2022, all things being equal, I want you guys to experience, AKEEM Bloomfield at the best he can be. My Facebook is AKEEM Bloomfield. My Instagram handle is Zoom_43, and my Twitter handle is AKEEM Bloomfield as well.
AKEEM, it's a pleasure. I hope this is the first and it is not the last. This platform is open to you anytime you need to voice your opinion. I thank you very much for coming on the program with me. All right? And I will continue to support you through thick and thin. For those who miss the video that we played for AKEEM, we're gonna replay it again because I know sometimes you're late. So we are gonna make sure that you get to see it. I thank you all for your support. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And I'm here for you guys anytime you need me. So we're gonna play the video again, AKEEM, and thanks again for coming on the show. All right?
Having me.
God bless you.
Sure.
AKEEM Bloomfield, 21 years of age, Diamond League wins in London and Birmingham.
Life is filled with ups and downs, and AKEEM is no stranger to adversities. One thing we know for sure, that when he is faced with adversities, he normally dig deep and bring out the best in himself. I remember years ago watching this young man in an interview. He said something that truly impressed me. He said, "To whom much is given, much will be required."
To whom much is given, much is expected, and don't really put myself out to perform for what people expect. I just go out there and do my best at all times.
And if anyone understands what this means, if any of you have heard that line of wisdom before, you know it means that we are held responsible for what we have. And if we have been blessed with talents, wealth, knowledge, time, and the likes, it is expected that we benefit not just ourselves, but others. AKEEM has achieved a lot in life, and during his quest to achieve his full potential, he has also helped others to do the same. AKEEM Bloomfield is not only an ISA boys champion, but he is also the record holder at 44.96. He's the second fastest Jamaican over the 400 meter with a personal best of 43.94. He is currently the national record holder for the 400 meter indoor for Jamaica with an impressive time of 44.86. AKEEM is the only 400 meter runner for Jamaica to run sub 20 seconds and is ranked 4th on the all-time list for Jamaican behind Usain Bolt, Ewan Blake and Warren Weir. With his new way of thinking, AKEEM is destined to achieve his highest potential in his events. He is now committed to make discipline, dedication, knowledge, and the receptiveness to good counsel as a part of his team. It is with great pleasure that I present to you this evening none other